The lantern that reveals. Caves never start quietly. The first thing is always the drip, water negotiating with stone. The second is the shuffle of your own boots on grit, the clink of carabiners, the nervous coughs people pretend are not nerves. Then, when you switch off the last daylight and step into a hole the earth has kept for itself, there is silence thick enough to feel like hands closing over your ears. We were 5. Mira, who had mapped caves in 3 continents and treated each one as a classroom that had forgotten its pupils. Devon, my brother, younger by 2 years and older by every reckless instinct. Harriet, a geologist with the patience of stone and the humor of dust. Rafik, who said little and carried more than the rest of us combined. And me, Jonah, who took notes, who held the camera, who tried to make sense of how darkness could feel heavier than gravity. We had been inside 4 hours when the lantern showed itself. Not our lanterns. Those were LEDs, dependable, modern, humming faintly when you press your ear close. This one was older than kerosene, older than common sense. It sat on a limestone ledge as if it had always been there. Glass cloudy, metal corroded, a hook twisted from black iron. The flame inside it burned without fuel, a steady, patient blue. Did one of you? Mira began but stopped. No one could have placed it. Not in this chamber, 50 meters below the last shaft. Devon lifted it because Devon lifts things he shouldn't. He grinned when the blue light caught his teeth. Feels warm, he said. Feels right. But it wasn't right. Because where the light touched the walls, there were shapes the cave had never told us about. A handprint too high for any climber. A tunnel branching where no tunnel had been. A glyph scratched into the stone that looked like a mouth with too many teeth. And just beyond the light, always just beyond, something shifted. We carried it because leaving it felt worse. That is how the room convinced us. The lantern burned without wick or oil. Rafik tested it, cupping his hand above the flame, expecting heat. There was none. The warmth Devon had felt was only in his imagination, or in his willingness to be deceived. But the light showed what shouldn't be. We retraced our path to the rope we had dropped earlier, marking each corner with chalk, whispering to each other so the cave would not overhear. The blue glow painted over our lines. Where we had chalked a spiral arrow, the lantern revealed another symbol beneath. Older, etched deep, a spiral that turned the other way. Mirroring us, Harriet murmured. She touched it, and her fingers came away black, as if she had pressed into soot. And then the sound began. Not drip, not shuffle. Breathing. Slow. Patient. From the dark, just outside the blue. We swung our headlamps into it. Nothing. The cave looked as it should. But when Devon raised the lantern, edges sharpened. Shapes hunched at the rim of sight. Too many joints, too many teeth, too much watching. They didn't move closer. They waited. Battery check, Mira ordered, her voice steadier than her hands. We all pressed the buttons, the LEDs flaring white. Strong. Fresh. Ordinary. But in the halo of the lantern, ordinary wasn't enough. Devon laughed, thin and dangerous. They only exist if we hold it. If we put it down. Then what? Harriet snapped. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. We all knew. If the lantern went out, the waiting would end. We made a pact. Someone must always hold it. Not because we wanted to, but because none of us could bear the idea of setting it down. It was a chain passed from wrist to wrist. Rafik first. He carried it with the steady dignity of a man who has learned not to trust the weight of things. When he held it, the shadows leaned further in, as if curious about his calm. Then Mira. She lifted it like a relic and frowned at the way the walls rewrote themselves. A corridor stretched longer in the glow, revealing steps carved into stone, worn smooth by feet that could not have fit human shoes. Harriet swore when it was her turn. You feel it, don't you? Not heat. Pressure. She shook her wrist as if she could fling it off. The flame pulsed in rhythm with her pulse. Devon wanted to keep it, but Mira refused. "Rotation," she said, "or none of us walks out." When it came to me, the world tilted. The blue burned in my notes, bleeding over the paper, showing words I had not written. They are patient. They are waiting. They know your names. I hadn't written them, but the handwriting was mine. At the edge of the lantern's glow, something with too many elbows leaned forward. Its teeth clicked once like a lock turning. I nearly dropped the lantern. Devon caught my wrist. "Rule 1, he said, smiling like it was a game. "We never drop it." Time is difficult underground. Minutes stretch until they become hours. Hours collapse until they are a blink. But we knew by the taste in our mouths, metallic dry, that we had been under too long. The creatures gathered. First, there were distant impressions, a curl of spine, a row of teeth flashing when the flame bent. Then nearer, pressed to the rim of light like moths pressed to glass. Eyes too wet, fingers too long. Their mouths did not open, but we could hear them breathe. "They're not moving in," Harriet whispered, as if speaking louder would break the treaty. "They don't need to," Mira answered. "They're waiting for the flame." And the flame, steady until then, flickered once. A ripple passed through the crowd of shapes. Their breathing deepened, harmonized. I felt it in my ribs, in the cartilage like the tremor before coughing blood. Rafik reached for the lantern. "Rotate." Devon wouldn't let go. His knuckles whitened around the handle. His smile was thin and furious. "No, it likes me." "It doesn't," Mira snapped. "Nothing likes you here." But he held it anyway. The shapes leaned closer, and in their mirrored faces I saw something like recognition.